Well, I want to thank everyone for joining me tonight for Freshman Family Night. My name is Janine Silberberg. I am one of two college counselors, college and career counselors we have at JP Stevens High School. I work with students who are in an even ending homeroom. So if your child is in ninth grade and their homeroom section ends in a 2, a 4, a 6, I'm the college counselor assigned to that homeroom. We also have another amazing college and career counselor, Miss Nadell. She is the college counselor that is assigned to odd ending homeroom. So if the section for your child or any of my students I have on the phone, I hope I have a lot on the video, I hope I have a lot of students. If your section ends in a 1, a 3, a 5, Miss Nadell is the college counselor assigned to that homeroom. I put my email address up there. You can always feel free to email or call if you have a question. We want to be as accessible and as much of a resource as possible for all of our families at JP Stevens. So I thought I would start, which is giving a little bit of an overview about how a college and career counselor can help you, a freshman or freshman families. So what I'm going to show you right now is this is really an overview of everything that we do. I will say that our time spent with students as college and career counselors, it tends to take shape in the junior year as well as very frequently in the senior year. But there are ways that we make connections with students throughout all 4 years of their time at JP Stevens. So one of the main things we do is we help students with the college application process, mainly helping them structure lists so they understand different types of schools and the selectivity involved in being admitted to those schools. We make sure that their lists are realistic and that they have a variety of selectivity. We also help them with technology. We help them fill out college applications, making sure that their applications are accurate, and also give them tips and tricks to make sure that they put the most important information on their application that admissions officers are looking for. We also help them with SCORE, and we are going to talk a little bit about SCORE tonight. SCORE is a college search and data management system that we use at JP Stevens, and all students will get a SCORE account. We also help a lot with essay writing. A big part of the college application process is writing essays, as well a big essay, as well as smaller supplemental essays. So we help students brainstorm their essays. We read them for content. We make suggestions on ways to make their writing stronger, and also just help with that revision process. We help students find scholarship and financial aid resources. We also help them with other parts of the process that relate to honing in on a career. So we offer different kinds of support throughout all 4 grades to help your child understand what career might be a great fit for them. We also help them understand the process of creating a resume, as well as keeping track of activities, which is something we're going to touch on tonight. And then if they ever have the opportunity to go on a job interview, an interview for a summer program, an internship, anything that's really important to them, we can practice those interview skills with them. As college and career counselors, we also provide a variety of information related to college and career activities in and around our community. We post those frequently on our JP Stevens website. And at the end of the presentation tonight, I'm going to tell you a little bit, I'm going to show you actually where you can find that information, right? So in addition to being the college and career counselor, we have an amazing group of school counselors that work with your students on the phone and families every day to make sure that their needs are met. And one of the main things we do is help students who might be looking for additional counseling and mental health support. So I wanted to make note that we are here to help. We definitely are here to help students understand healthy methods that they can reduce their stress, as well as deal with difficult situations that might just be a part of normal adolescent development. So please reach out if you feel, especially for our parents and guardians on the phone, if you feel your child is struggling, you're noticing changes in your child's demeanor, sleep habits, or health, please reach out to their school counselor. The school counselor should be the first person you make contact with. So talk to your child's school counselor. There is a form that your student can fill out to make an appointment with their counselor. That form is located in the front of the school counseling office. Every student has access to it. They can walk right into the office. It's a pink, we call it a pink pass. They can pick up that pink pass and just walk right out, fill it out, drop it off later. We also are very, very lucky to have a partnership with Rutgers Behavioral Health. We call it the PATH program. Those are very much for high level, for families that have high level concerns about mental health. You should always go to your school counselor first. In the school counseling office, we also have an amazing place called the Zen Zone. It is a quiet spot in our office that students can come and decompress. If your student is having a bit of a rough time or just getting a little bit overwhelmed during the day, they can come in and ask to sit in the Zen Zone for a little bit and decompress there. Outside of school, we have a digital Zen Zone, which I will show you a little bit later. And then we also have crisis and community resources that are located on our website and embedded in this presentation that you can have access to later tonight. So this presentation that I'm going through is located on the JP Stevens School Counseling website. I will show you later where it's posted. It is posted under the 9th grade section of our website. So if you go to the counseling page on the right-hand side, you will see a variety of different sections. If you click on 9th grade, you'll be able to see a full copy of this presentation. And after tonight, there will also be a recording of this presentation posted. Okay, so let's talk about what we're going to do tonight, right? So here tonight with Freshman Family Night, we are going to give you a little bit of an insight into what some of the foundational steps are that can assist you as a family towards post-secondary success. So what happens after you leave the Hawk's Nest of JP Stevens? We're also going to talk about how freshman year courses impact not only your first year, but your whole academic record. We are going to look at factors that are important in the evaluation process for college admissions. We're also going to answer questions about activities and involvement. You know, should my child be involved in every activity they have the opportunity to participate in, or should they focus on a couple of very specialized pursuits? And then what steps can you take now to alleviate future stress, right? Admissions and college admissions especially is something that is always changing and evolving, especially with the onset of the pandemic. There have been a lot of changes in the world of college admissions. So, you know, when you need to keep up, we're here to provide you with those resources. So as I go through the presentation, if you have any questions, I would love if you would put them in the chat. I am going to try to address some of them at the end of the evening. And then any of the questions that are located in the chat, I will make sure to write up a summary of them. And we are also going to post it under the 9th grade tab of the JP Stevens Counseling website, so you can use for future reference. Okay, so we're going to set a course, engage in some discovery, take a peek at college admissions factors, think about what our students are good at, and then talk a little bit about how you might want to finance that next step beyond JP Stevens. But first, we are going to take a poll. Okay, so I would love if everybody can answer the poll questions on their screen. The first question: I am aware and comfortable with the early college preparation steps my JPS freshman needs to accomplish to pursue post-secondary education. And there are 3 choices. Click on the choice that you think aligns with you. We are then going to do number 2. When it comes to extracurricular activities and enrichment activities, colleges want to see students involved in multiple activities spread across a wide variety of disciplines. True or false? Let me know what you think. Everyone should vote. Make sure you vote in all 3 questions. Our third question: college planning is a process that begins freshman year. So I'm going to give everybody a little bit of time to see where we're at. Another maybe. Oh, we're getting up there. I've only got 50% participation. Keep going. I'll take a sip of my water. Okay, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, so these are the results of our poll, right? Question number 1. I am aware and comfortable with the early college preparation steps my JPS freshman needs to accomplish. 51% said help and lost and need guidance. So I'm so glad for those families that answered that authentically, and honestly, thank you for sharing that with me. That's going to be a big help as we go through this presentation. For our know enough to be dangerous families and our yes, I got this families, you're going to learn a lot tonight too. So just stick with me as we go on the ride. Okay, for number 2, extracurricular activities and enrichment. Colleges want to see students involved in multiple activities spread across a wide variety of disciplines. 64% said true. I want everyone to remember that 64% that said true, and we had 36% that said false. College planning is a process that begins freshman year, true, false. 90% said true. I would agree. I definitely agree that it is true. So we're going to talk a lot about these questions as we go through our presentation this evening. Thank you all for indulging me. This is actually the first time that I have used a poll. So exciting stuff. I like trying new things. Okay, set the course. Foundations for college success. Okay, so what do we want to think about? We want to think about college admissions overall, right? Questions about how your application will be reviewed and what factors are most important are legitimate questions. But unfortunately, there's no clear-cut answer. College admissions is not a science. It cannot easily be predicted, and there is no rule book, right? So the way a highly selective college or university looks at an application is very different than the way a college that is not as selective and admits the majority of their students looks at an application, right? So how do we guide students, right? If we cannot make a predictable choice, right? There's no science to admissions. It is unpredictable, right? What are the resources that we can use to try to guide students in helping to understand that process? How do we instruct them, right? So the National Association of College Admissions Counseling, they publish a research study every year. It's called the State of College Admissions. They've been doing it for about 20-ish years now, right? And every year, this survey identifies the 3 factors that determine whether or not an admissions officer, a person who reads over a college application, whether or not they would choose to admit an applicant. And every year for almost 20 some odd years that they've done this survey, there are 3 factors that come into play for students. The number 1 factor is academic rigor. And rigor is a measure of the classes that a student chooses to take versus what was available to student, right? It is what is represented on the student's transcript. So rigor is going to look different on every student's transcript, right? How are colleges informed of rigor? Well, every year when our students apply to colleges and universities, we send along with their high school transcript, so with a representation of what they've taken academically, we send out something called a school profile. And again, at the end of the presentation, I'm going to show everybody what that document looks like. It gets updated every year, and it is updated every year with information about that class year and those students. It also gives an overview of the curriculum that we offer. So what kind of classes are available to students, how hard those classes are, what level those classes are. And then there also is information related to just our community and the types of students that make up our community. There are a lot of themes related to academic rigor as well as the curriculum, right? So questions an admissions officer might ask when they're looking at a student's transcript. Did the student challenge themselves, right? Did they maybe start out in a level 2 class and by the time they graduated, work themselves up to a level 1 class? That's a challenge, right? And that shows great rigor for the student, right? How have they engaged in preparation, right? It is necessary to engage and be prepared in order to be able to do college level work, right? So how did they prepare themselves? And then in what ways did they manifest achievement, right? How successful were they in the rigor and the challenge that they chose to take on? And one way in which that comes out is a grade point average, right? So the top 3 factors that colleges use when they are going to make admissions decisions are academic rigor, grades in high school classes, which is the student's GPA. And then they're also going to look at standardized test score. Now, my caveat about standardized test score is that in the last 2 years, the exceptional majority of schools, I would say over 1,400 colleges and universities have decided to go test optional. You might have heard that phrase in the media or amongst even families that you know in JP that are in their senior year or were in their senior year last year. Test optional means that students have the choice whether or not they are going to submit a standardized test score to support their application. And what we do in the junior and the senior years, we talk to students a lot about where a test score, submitting a test score to a college can really help them in the application process, or where they might just want to let their grades speak for themselves. So this change is actually a huge positive for students because it really gives them a huge authority over their applications. It allows them to take control of the narrative that an admissions counselor might see when they begin to work on applications or work through applications, okay? So your grade point average is actually something that starts in freshman year. So all the classes you are taking freshman year count towards your GPA. Everything starts in 9th grade. If I can stress anything about this 9th grade year, it is develop great patterns. Develop organization when it comes to your academics, as well as your extracurricular commitments and commitments outside of school. Manage your time. That looks different for everybody. Some students are really good at compartmentalizing their times, using planners or Google calendars or other things as aids to support it. I know we have a lot of students that use their MacBook as a way to keep themselves organized and organize their time. So whatever is going to work for you, especially in the freshman year, by the end of freshman year, you want to be comfortable with the system that you have. I call it the student system, right? What is the system that works for you as a student to keep your engine running, right? In addition to grade point averages, colleges are also going to look at the level in which the level of course the student took, right? We offer several levels of classes at JP Stevens. We offer regular, accelerated, advanced placement, and honors, okay? All classes at JP Stevens are college prep classes. So when colleges and universities look at our curriculum, they know that every class, no matter what the level of that class, is preparing the student, right? Preparation, preparing the student to be successful in the college environment, okay? Colleges also want to see the students push themselves, right? We show colleges a weighted and an unweighted GPA on their application. So the transcript includes both, and that speaks really to the strength of curriculum. Again, the rigor and the grade point average are two of the most important factors in understanding admission, okay? So now we're going to have a quiz, okay? Everybody pay attention, Okay, so thinking from a college admissions perspective, knowing what we know about rigor, knowing what we know about grade point average, is it better to get a B in an advanced placement in AP class or an A in an honors level class? I'll give everyone 1 second to think about it. A B in an AP class or an A in an honors class? Okay, let's go to the source. We are going to see a video. This is Andy Strickler. He is the Dean of Admissions and Financial Aid at Connecticut College, which is a small private liberal arts college, kind of right outside the middle of Connecticut.
The question of curriculum is often asked of admission offices, and frankly the question is phrased, is it better to get a B in an AP class than an A in a regular class? And I think what we're really asking here is trying to find the right balance between rigor and performance. So for a student, yes, we want to see students who have challenged themselves with the most rigorous curriculum available at their high school, and getting a B is okay. But at the same time, we don't want to overdo it on the rigor part and end up with grades that are not quite reflective of your entire academic ability. So for each student and each family, it's a conversation about finding the appropriate level of rigor while at the same time maintaining high performance standards.
Did you get that? Confusing, right? Yeah, so what's the answer, right? The answer is colleges want to see students that rise up and push themselves, right? We like to encourage students to have that growth mindset, to explore tasks that take effort, right? We want them to press the limits and try new things, but we also want them to feel confident in their abilities. So thinking about thinking about going back to challenge, preparation, and achievement, right? We want students to be comfortable. If your student is going to be comfortable in that honors level class, getting that A, that's the right spot for them to be. The worst thing that could happen to them is that they move into that AP class, and instead of going from having maybe a B in the same subject level the year before, they tend to have a lower performance, right? So we want to avoid doing that altogether, okay? Challenge, preparation, and achievement. Okay, so again, right, what classes were available to the student? That's the curriculum that an admissions officer is going to look at. What did the student take? What courses were available to them? At what level did they take those courses? That's the rigor that's associated with their class. How did the student perform? That's the grades, right? That's the manifestation of everything that they're doing in their class. Then colleges are going to look at something called a grade trend. A grade trend is basically what happened in this subject. They're going to look at 9th grade, 10th grade, 11th grade, and they're going to say, okay, English, how did English go? B freshman year, B plus sophomore year, A, and went up a level junior year. Well, that sounds great. Let's look at what senior year is going. The worst thing that could happen with your grade trend is that it goes down. And I'm not talking down from, let's say, an A minus to a B. I'm talking a very big change in the grade trend, right? We want to make sure we're either going steady as can be, or our grade trend is going up. Okay, so now we've talked a little bit about on the academic side. We're now going to talk about engaging in different activities, right? How to discover what you like to do as ways to kind of enhance your college application, as well as enhance yourself, right? Understanding things you like to do outside the academic. The outside academics are almost just as important as the in-school academics, because that is the strongest way for your child or any of my students on the phone to understand the things that bring you joy and the things that are exciting to you. And many times those extracurriculars set the foundation for where our students would like to go when it comes to their choice of major, when it comes to their career. And the academic really fits in super well with that, right? So I often get asked the question, you know, what is the right number of extracurriculars? And how much should you vary your interest in those extracurriculars? So I have two quotes up on the screen. One is from the University of Pennsylvania, and then the other is from Duke University. So any quote you see, and I wanted to mention this before and I forgot, I'll bring it up now. Any quote that you see here from a college or a university is taken directly from their website. A college website gives you a wealth of information of what the school is like, but it also gives you a lot of insight into what they value. Okay, so from the University of Pennsylvania, they're telling you, don't be afraid to pursue something you are passionate about, because when you do something you love, work no longer seems like work and you don't mind spending hours doing it. Okay, I frequently tell students the story about how I became a school counselor. I was in another industry completely and I was very good at my job, but my heart wasn't in it. I just felt like something different. I needed a change. And I always came back to working with adolescents. And once I made that switch, I really found something that I was not only good at, but very passionate about. And it's true for me, the hours that I spend in our school with our students and our families, it really doesn't seem like work. So my goal is to always help students find that exact same match. Okay, let's take a look at Duke University. Get involved in the school or local community. Not only are extracurriculars a great way for you to balance your academic life, but they are also a means by which you can identify passions and interests. Understand what is important to you, can help the admissions committee have an idea of your potential impact on campus. Okay, so there are many themes here, right? Mainly do what you love, right? We want our students to explore, to taste grist, to do something out of the ordinary. Now, sometimes, and this is for all my parents, guardians, loved ones who care about our students in the room, sometimes these risks might be a little contradictory to what you think the right choices are or the best choices are for the student when it comes to extracurriculars, right? And that can be a little scary. I'll agree with that, okay? But it helps the students, right? It helps them identify passion and interest. This is how they're going to discover what they're good at, along with a couple other tools and resources that we can provide. We do the work. We help them do the work of relating these passions and interests back to their academic pursuits. Okay, so this is what it might look like, right? You're going to develop an interest outside the classroom. How are you going to do that? On the J.P. Stevens Counseling website, we have a variety of resources. On our high school website, we also have a virtual club fair. We have a club fair every year in October. And in October, students had, this year it was a virtual club fair, a little bit in person, but mostly virtual. And our students had the opportunity to kind of sign up and try out a lot of new things. Freshman year is the year to try out everything that you want to try, okay? By, I would say, middle of sophomore year is when we want to hone in, right? Quality over quantity. Quality involvement means, it doesn't necessarily mean I'm the president of the club. It doesn't necessarily mean I hold a leadership position in that club. It means I am active, involved, and committed, right? When someone needs a volunteer, I show up. When someone says we need someone to kind of do something last minute, I'm there and I step in, okay? So thinking about our question from earlier in the evening, right? Is it better to be involved in everything I can be involved in, or just a few that I feel I can make a time and commitment to? The answer is quality over quantity. Make that commitment maybe by the middle of sophomore year to just a few clubs and activities that you as a student or our families feel your child is getting a lot out of, okay? So smaller in this case is better, less is more, okay? You wanna also utilize the summer to explore. So we have a link on our website to enrichment and summer programs. There are a variety of programs there. Some of them are free, some of them have a cost to it. Also, colleges really value anything that the student does over the summer, right? And that could be taking care of a younger sibling. It could be helping an older adult in the family fulfill tasks like, going to the grocery store or helping with laundry at home. These things might not seem very significant, but they really do show a sense of commitment and growth on the part of the student. And colleges value that commitment and growth just as much as they do a summer program or something in which the student is doing any kind of paid experience. Work is a great activity to partake in over the summer. It is a great time to explore. You have a little bit more free time. So I always recommend students think about work. We have a job board in the front of the J.P. Stevens Counseling office. The counseling office is also the place that students would come if they need working papers. So when they are ready to have that first job, they would come to the counseling office after they get that job, and we would be able to support them in that process. Okay, so we're going to talk a little bit about, in addition to all the summer enrichments, we also have a wonderful tool called SCORE. SCORE is an online platform that assists students and parents with college search and selection. We also have tools in there to help our students understand their aptitudes and strengths and how those two things partnered together or separate can align with different careers and majors. On the parent side of SCORE, there are a lot of financial tools to assess affordability for a family, meaning if you're considering colleges A and B and you want to know how affordable it might be for your specific family, there are tools in SCORE that you can put a little bit of information into, and it will help you assess that process. SCORE is also the tool that all of our seniors use to fulfill the college application process. There's a piece that the student does, as well as all of our school counselors electronically send materials through SCORE to make sure that all the documents students need for the college application process are done through that program. So all freshmen later on this year will get an invite to SCORE. When freshmen get invited to SCORE, they will also be asked to invite you as a parent, so they will be able to connect you there. Okay, so let's stretch, right? I'd like everybody, if you're sitting down, I'd like you to stand up. If you're standing up, I'd like you to move around and wiggle a little, right? Everyone should stretch. Okay, why are we doing this? Brain breaks, right? Every person on this call should insist on taking brain breaks, especially if you are someone who cares about our students, right? So what does that mean? That means that you should be sure to tell your child, look, you've been working really hard, take a break. Look, I can see that you're putting in a lot of effort. Let's just take 10 minutes to decompress, right? So make sure you work in those breaks. I can't stress enough how important sleep is. Sleep, sleep, sleep. Please, please. As part of that organization that I talked about, as part of that time management that I talked about, I'm really trying to stress to all of our families, it's so important that the students get as much sleep as they possibly can. And I know at times when there's a lot of assessments or tests or quizzes, that could be challenging, but students, please do your best to manage that time and get as much sleep as possible. It really helps your brain feel comfortable. Okay, so next we're gonna take a peek, right? We are going to talk a little bit about beginning the college search process and what that might look like for students and families, especially in the first year of high school, right? So this is a slide that I frequently show, probably in every presentation that I do. And it's called College Fit Does Not Have a Ranking. And one of the most important things I hope you'll take away from tonight is that when it comes to picking a college for your child, if you pick that college based off a rank or a number in a book or a list, you're really doing your child a disservice. And our students on the phone, if you do that as well, it's really not a service for you, right? There are a lot of factors that we want to consider that are so important when finding the right fit when it comes to which college our students are going to attend. So analogy I frequently give is I want everyone to think of the student, or if I have students on the phone, I want you to think of you as your right hand, right? So as a student, you are a thinker, a learner, a doer. You are a person who cares about their community and is active in their community, right? There's only one unique you. But there are many colleges and universities that have the factors that you're looking for that are going to fit you like this. So what we want to do, or what college counselors, we work with our students to do, is understand what are the unique things that you have, what are the things, the factors that you want to look for in a college or university, and how can we make them fit together hand in hand. Okay, so some of the factors, a few examples. Take NYU. NYU is in New York City, New York University. It is not a traditional college campus. Students share their campus with everyone who lives and works in New York City. So that means when it's a really rainy day and the students are rushing to get to class or rushing to get a bus to get to class, they're doing it with everybody else who's living and working in New York City. In addition, thinking maybe about the flip side of that, you have a school like Penn State University. Penn State is about 3.5, 4 hours from Edison. It is a very long drive, and you drive out through Pennsylvania until you get to the big campus, which is in the middle of Penn State. It is massive, a big student population, over 40,000 students. So students have to ask themselves, right? Am I gonna like navigating a city? Am I gonna like, at Penn State, that massive campus, is it gonna feel overwhelmed for me? Rutgers, right? Just in our home state of New Jersey, most students who live on the campus of Rutgers have to take a bus to get to their classes, right? So you'd have to ask yourself, is that something I want to do? Do I want to work that time into my schedule to make sure I get up, get the bus, go to class? There are other campuses that are smaller and more insular where students can literally wake up in their dorm room and in 15 minutes be in their class, walking there. So there's a lot of different factors that come into play. Size of the school is one, location, major offerings, right? Maybe you're very sure of what you want to major in, but maybe you're not so sure. So maybe if you're not so sure, you want to go to a place that has a program where they can kind of guide you through that process of understanding what major you might want to pick. Okay, so tools for early college exploration. SCORE is definitely one of the biggest tools that we have. Everyone will get an invite to SCORE as freshmen a little bit later this year, but within SCORE, there are a lot of tools that you can start playing with now that will help you discover and learn more about college search. There is a college compare and lookup, so you can actually just look up the name of the school, or you can do a formal search where you can enter in a little bit of information about what you're looking for in a college, and SCORE can not only make recommendations to you, but it'll allow you to compare those schools against each other. In addition to that, we have something called a scattergram. A scattergram is basically a representation of past JP Stevens applicants and how successful they were in the application process based on different schools. We use this data to try to guide our students when they're putting that list of schools together to understand what schools might be a very, very safe place for them to be admitted and what schools might be a little bit more of a reach, right? We like to make a list of schools that have something called a realistic variety, meaning it is realistic for a student to get into every school they apply to. And the variety comes in the form of selectivity. And the scattergrams are really one of the most amazing tools we have to do that. That really comes into play in the junior, especially in the senior year. We sponsor a college fair every year at JP Stevens. We have ours in October. At Edison High, they typically have it in the spring. At Edison High, it's going to be the first week of March. The exact date is slipping my mind. It's either the 2nd or the 3rd, but you will see information about it on our website. It is going to be a virtual fair at Edison High School. Prior to COVID, we did sponsor campus trips where we took students to Temple University, TCNJ. We have been to Rowan University, so a variety of different schools and campuses. And if students are interested, they can take advantage of that with us. So local campus visits are great, as well as campus visits when you're maybe traveling with your family, right? So if you're curious, find a local school, right? We are really, really blessed in New Jersey to have a lot of institutions of higher education, as well as in the surrounding area, New York and Connecticut. Everything from really, really large, big campus, big student population schools to much smaller campuses with student populations that are in, the 1,500 to 2,000 students total. So if you're curious, just take a visit to a campus. Remember, you want to register with the admissions office and go on a formal tour. That way they know you were there. Sometimes when you do get to become an applicant, it does play into the process. One thing I forgot to mention just on that last slide too, vacation, right? So if you're traveling at a location and there's a college or university nearby, and you could work it into your trip where you can kind of just mosey around the campus, that's also a great way to explore. It's a great way to understand those fit factors and what's important to you, okay? So once students and families get invited into SCORE, this is what they will see in their profile. So some do nows for freshman year that you can think about are completing the My Profile section. My Profile is a section that just has personal details like the student's name, their address. It will be the way in which the student connects you as the parent to your own SCORE account. Another great thing to do in SCORE is to use the activities and achievement section and begin to track their activities, right? So if your child is an athlete and they play a sport, log that into SCORE. If they are doing volunteer work or a part of a community service club, I am the Hawks Club advisor helping another wonderful kid succeed. Our ambassadors met everybody at freshman orientation. So I always like to use Hawks as an example. But if your student is in a club, you can see we have the Hawks Club there. You can note the activities as well as a little description of what's involved in the club. This will come in super handy as we move forward from freshman year to senior year when we get to that college application process, or even if your child is thinking about different choices aside from directly to college, they will have a list of their activities are ready to go. I can't tell you how frustrating it is when I have seniors who will come to me in September, October, they're like, oh, I know I did this like volunteer thing freshman year, but I can't remember what it was or how it was. This is a great way to keep track of it. So you'll never lose anything and you'll have everything in one spot. SCORE is a web-based system. They even have an app that students can use, so you can really track it anytime. Okay, we also are lucky, speaking of early college plans, that we have a partnership with Middlesex College called the Edison Early College Program. So this allows all Edison students to have the opportunity to earn an associate's degree or college credits from Middlesex by enrolling with specific courses offered at either Edison High or JP Stevens. The students learn and engage in college level coursework in our familiar high school environment. And then with successful completion of the coursework, students have the opportunity to earn an associate's degree or college credit towards a degree. So it's a great way to begin a college experience. Students may take these credits for high school. Students may take these dual enrollment courses for high school credit only, or they pay a course tuition fee to receive both high school and college credit. This is just an example of the potential tuition savings to earn the associate's degree in our high school versus if you were to go do it on the Middlesex campus. So there is a website down at the bottom that you'll see that's dedicated to making sure that students understand the program. Also, your child will go through a scheduling meeting with their school counselor. That meeting will not happen until later in the year. Once probably be concluded, I would say by the latest mid-April. So once your child goes through that scheduling meeting, they will meet with their counselor. And if they're interested in this early college program, they should express that to the counselor, and the counselor will give them more information on how to participate. So finally, how do we talk a little bit about our talents, right? How do we think about relating our talents to the things that we're good at? So one thing you can do is think about assessing your interests and strengths, right? So interests and strengths are two things that if our students can find careers that align with not only the things they're interested in, but the things that they are innately good at, their aptitudes, it's important to find a career that can do that for them. So one thing that I often recommend, a program I recommend, is through College Board Big Futures. It's called Career Finder. So this is something that can be done at any grade level, okay? With Career Finder, you enter a little bit of information and answer a few questions about some careers that might appeal to you. And what the program will do is it will give you top choices based on those interests that you put in. You can also filter the choices for career by skill or by work style. And then on the site, there are some amazing videos, day in the life videos of these different careers. So for example, if you were to click on Education Administrator, click on that tile, it will show you different information such as salary range, job growth. It'll also tell you the types of skills that are needed to do that work. And then it'll show you a video of what it's like to work in that job for the day. So sometimes the videos of those real life experiences, I would definitely encourage our students to try to go on and do a little digging through there. The videos are really what draws them into seeing, oh, wow, this looks interesting, or, oh, this person, in this role, they're not sitting behind a desk all day. They're really up and interacting and moving, and that's what I want to be doing. Or for some of our students who are very, laser focused and like to just kind of focus on a task, they're good at seeing somebody who's really kind of pinned to a desk and can concentrate for long periods of time. So Road Trip Nation is the partnership in which Big Futures uses for their career finder. So I highly recommend everybody take a look at that. In addition, there's just some simple things you can do at home, literally things you can do around the dinner table, right? So ask your child, or for my students, you can really do this activity on your own, right? Think about what subjects you're interested in, right? Maybe it's biology, okay? And then when you're talking around the table at night, or you're just sitting on the couch in between TV shows, right? Think about some ideas. What could you do with a career if you wanted to major in biology, or you were interested in biology? Well, maybe you can be a nurse practitioner, a psychologist, or even a technician in a lab, right? Then I want you to think about, if I was interested in these roles, what kind of classes might I take, right? Our program of studies is a really great way to get familiar with the curriculum at J.P. Stevens. And you can think a little bit about why you'd want to take certain classes. Anatomy and physiology, right? If I want to work as a nurse, I probably need to know about the body and how things interact with one another, right? Or just the systems that make up the body. Chemistry is the interaction, right? And how the body works with one another. English, right? If I am going to be a nurse or a psychologist, I need to communicate clearly. People need to understand. Sometimes they're maybe going to be in difficult situations and need to understand the information that I'm telling them so I can help them stay calm and understand the choices that they might have, right? So what are things you can do if you're interested in biology? There's some nurse ideas. Maybe you can pursue a volunteer opportunity that we offer in or around our high school. You can go and shadow somebody, right? Maybe you know someone in your family who has that role of the nurse or a lab technician, right? Or maybe you can just do something in your everyday life, right? Practice listening, right? If you're going to be a psychologist, maybe you want to make sure you can hone in on the words and phrases people are saying so you can understand the best methods to help them, right? So this is an example of just a simple exercise that you can do that'll get your mind kind of thinking about, where can I take the subjects that I'm interested in and align them with potential, not only career goals, but areas in which I can continue my study in high school and beyond high school. Okay, so our last portion of the night, we are going to talk a little bit about paying for college. What are some options to pay for college? That's something that's definitely on everyone's mind in every presentation that I give. So there's a few links here. The first is actually to the FAFSA toolkit. FAFSA stands for Free Application for Federal Student Aid. It is a document that for students who are interested in having the federal government try to provide them with resources to offset the cost of a college education or even a career or technical education, you have to complete the FAFSA. And the FAFSA toolkit is a great way to understand all the different types of aid that's available. There's also a glossary in there too. FAFSA Forecaster is actually a way for families to estimate eligibility for financial aid. It also helps you understand the forms that you need. The information that you need in order to complete FAFSA forms. You need some tax information, you need some financial documents, and the FAFSA Forecaster can help you understand that. And that's actually something that you can do now. You can do it now based on your family income and then do it every year until you get closer to that college point. HESA. HESA stands for Higher Education Student Assistance Authority. And that guide linked to HESA tells you a little bit about the different federal and state aid programs available to students. They also have a student guide to borrowing by major. I absolutely love this guide. So this guide will tell you the starting salary, depending on your major, the average starting salary for a bachelor's degree. And then it will tell you the maximum loan that you should consider taking out in order to prevent yourself from defaulting on the loan. Right? So how much or what percentage of a loan should you take out to offset your cost of tuition? So it's really forthcoming and thinking about the student and making sure not only are they being financially sound and making good decisions leading into the college process, but also looking out for them in the back end. Also on our counseling website, we have a scholarship and financial aid page. There are scholarships for everyone, okay? So everyone from freshmen up to seniors are listed. There's scholarships on that page. I recommend definitely taking a look at it. It's a great resource. Also in October, every October, we hold a financial aid night. Financial aid night is just a great way to understand exactly what parts of the process or what is involved in financial aid. We usually have a speaker come in. She's the director of financial aid at Monmouth University, and she really walks our families through the process. So the video of that is on our website. You can watch the video even if you're curious now to get an understanding of financial aid resources. Did everybody get all that? Everyone's a pro now? All right, so just to sum up, we are going to plan early, spread our wings, and utilize the resources. And above all, we are all here to help, myself and the rest of the school counseling staff. We do value your feedback. So I'm going to show everybody, give a little overview of our JPS counseling website. The last slide in the website is a feedback survey. We would love to hear your feedback. I'm going to go to the counseling website, and then if anyone has any questions, they can definitely feel free to enter it into the chat, and I will take a few questions if I'm able. So this is what the JP Stevens counseling website looks like. This is the homepage. So on the homepage, typically in the front, there's some spotlights that we have there. This is our crisis and mental health resources that I mentioned before, as well as our digital, with more information on those crisis resources. So if you ever need anything maybe outside of school hours, this is a great place to go. It also has the names of both of our path counselors, Ms. Ansari and Dr. Donadio. We also have our digital Zen Zone. If you click on this link, it brings you to all the great resources there. School profile. So I had talked about this. This is the link for the school profile. And as you see, it has a lot of information about our school. It has information about the requirements for curriculum. And this is a document that goes to colleges every year. Every year it gets updated with the senior class information. a lot of information on our grading system, as well as some average data there. Okay. Most important for everyone here is going to be this 9th grade freshman tab, right? So the video for tonight will go here, and then the PowerPoint I'm going through will go here. If we ever have we try to do our best to video all of our meetings, as well as to make sure that we put our slides up for every meeting. So if you're ever looking for something, the tab for your grade level, and as you progress sophomore, junior, senior year, the tab for your grade level is going to be the most important place to come. So I encourage everybody, please click on the PowerPoint, take our survey for tonight. Let us know. There's a question in there about future programming that you might be interested in. And I would definitely love everyone's feedback there. Financial aid and scholarships, because I touched on that. These are different resources for financial aid. And if you click on this current scholarship opportunities, you're going to see a list of all of our scholarships that we are aware of that get sent to us in our school. So Miss Nadell is actually the keeper of this document. She does a great job of updating it really frequently. And if you look in this eligible grade, it will tell you what grade is eligible for scholarships. So these are a lot of 12th grade. This is the time of year we get a lot of incoming 12th grade scholarships, but here we have one 9th through 12th. So even freshman year, you can pursue scholarship opportunities. Okay, we have our staff. If you ever need to get hold of your child's counselor, we have all of our school counselors' names and email addresses here. And one last thing I'm going to talk about is enrichment and summer program. So if you're interested in learning more about different enrichment activities that are taking place in and around the community, this is a list that you can go to as well. Okay, so I am going to look at our questions and see what I have going there. Let's see. So someone's asking about the best year to visit a campus. Anytime's a good time to visit a college campus. I would encourage you, if you're just, if you're curious about what a campus is like, definitely take a tour if it's available to you. I would say I see a lot of students starting in the summer before junior year and going into the junior year are times when they tend to visit campuses. Let's see. Someone's asking about resources for career counseling. So that is on a website. And if you go into the presentation that I showed you on the 9th grade tab, if you go into the presentation, the site is called College Board Big Futures, and you want to look for the career finder. So someone's asking about planning for the next 3 years. How should they plan academically if they're targeting specific colleges? I would advise to think about your child and the courses in which they're interested in. I wouldn't plan by a college, right? Because like I said, college admissions is not a science, right? It changes greatly year to year. So I would encourage your child to think about, again, challenge, preparation, achievement. How are they challenging themselves? What is the rigor of the courses they're taking? And are they being successful in those courses, the manifestation of the grade? I'm getting a question about volunteer hours too. There's no minimum volunteer hours. The most important thing, the most important thing colleges want to see is they want to see students that are authentically involved in activities that interest them. There's no minimum, no maximum. Someone's asking about how do I reach the counselor page? If you just literally, I always tell families the easiest way is Google. If you Google J.P. Stevens High School, I will, hold on one second. If you Google J.P. Stevens High School, this is our main page of our high school. And then you're just going to want to go to counseling and you'll be put right there. So that is how you want to get to that. Let's see, there will be a recording provided. So SCORE will actually be, so our 9th graders do not have a login to SCORE yet. They'll probably get it, I would say, sometime within the 3rd marking period, they will get a login to SCORE. Last thing I'll say is if students don't have any extracurricular involvement yet, that's okay, right? It is okay. Transitioning from from middle school into high school is a big adjustment, okay? If your child is spending freshman year to get themselves sound academically, that's what we want them to do, right? We don't want them to, overextend themselves and feel overwhelmed. So let them be comfortable academically, let them acclimate to the school environment, to classes and studying and tests and assessments. And then in sophomore year, I would strongly encourage them to pick one thing, maybe two, right? If two is the right number for your child, that's what you need to go with, okay? And instead of them trying many, many, many things, pick two or three, two, even three, right? And of the three, if they stick with one, that's great. That's a perfect thing for them. We have a lot of different opportunities for students in school, outside of school. So please feel free to ask your child's school counselor about that. Well, I want to thank everyone for coming tonight. I really enjoyed our time together. I very much hope we get to do this in person soon. I really appreciate all of your attention. Again, any of the questions in the chat, we will provide an answer sheet. And I look forward to seeing all of you soon. Thank you so much. Have a great evening.